There is a supernatural world that surrounds us, and sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. You'll hear stories about this and so much more right here on Supernatural Confrontations. I love this platform. I just love it. It's just so cool when people come on Zoom. I've never met them before. There's no collusion. They're not like lifelong friends who are making up a story. They've had encounters, and this one is just incredible. Angels with snow shovels, but I'm giving the punchline away, and we'll get into that and so much more. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor, Noble Gold. Gold prices could surge to $4,000 an ounce in 2023, and Noble Gold Investments has all the details. As recession fears persist, Jurie Keener, Chief Investment Officer of investment company Swiss Asia Capital, said that many economies could face a little bit of a recession in the first quarter, which would lead to many central banks slowing their pace of interest rate hikes and make gold instantly more attractive. If 2022 taught us anything, it is that tangible, hard assets are the only assets you can count on, like gold. Folks, what are you waiting for? Thousands of people have started making a move toward a secure retirement. Join them by opening a gold IRA or silver IRA with Noble Gold Investments. If you get in before the end of this month, January, you'll bag an incredibly free quarter-ounce American Gold Eagle coin with every qualified IRA of 50 grand. Folks, you can't go wrong with Noble Gold Investments. We've invested a portion of our portfolio in Noble Gold. We bought in at 1642. It is now up to 1832. Give you an idea of where we are. Pretty amazing. Go to lamarzulligold.com. That's lamarzulligold.com or 877-646-5347. Tell them that you heard it here on Supernatural Confrontations with your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. Once again, that's lamarzulligold.com. So here's the story. It's just so cool, and I'll weigh in, of course, on the other side of the break. So, Brian, thanks so much for coming on Supernatural Confrontations. What I love about the show is just it's a gathering place for people that have had stuff happen in their life, supernatural things happen in their life, and it's a safe place to talk about them because our numbers are growing. Not that's what we're doing it for, but what's really cool is you've had people from Norway and South Africa and Australia and Hungary and the UK. It's pretty amazing. So what happened to you? Tell us about this angelic help that you got.
Well, I really wish I had told this story a few years ago because this was 6 years ago, but the vast majority of the details are fresh in my mind. I know it's one thing I'll never forget. You don't forget stuff like that.
Sure.
So in December of 2016, they call it Snowmageddon out here in Idaho, because we had about 4 or 5 feet of snow, and it
Wow.
just kept snowing. I mean, people were putting billboards up in town saying, whoever's praying for snow, please stop. So I got a job working at Budweiser in Boise. And so ironically, I don't drink. I used to, but the Lord delivered me from that, thankfully. So it was one of the coldest winters of my life, and it was a very stressful job. I had to stock about 20 to 30 bars around Treasure Valley, southern Idaho, in one day, and the traffic with the snow and ice. I mean, we'd have 2 or 3 inches of ice and about 5 inches of water on top of that.
Wow.
People were, oh yeah, very stressful. And
very stressful.
thankfully, my boss, who's about the same age as me, we got along pretty well, and he rode with me for the first 2 weeks of the job to get me trained up. And so when we had a really hard freeze that January, I believe it was the first week of January 2017, it was 22 below zero in Boise. and I had just ordinary street clothes on, tennis shoes, jacket. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was in a warm truck most of the day. It didn't occur to me I was going to have to get out and do anything much. So we came up to a bar that had an above parking lot where you had to park up here, but the bar was down below where you had to go in and bring the beer and all that stuff in. And usually we could just pull right in that parking lot. And my boss says, well, you can still go up there, but there was about 2 or 3 feet of snow that was hard packed frozen, and you couldn't really get over that berm to go in that parking lot. But he says, just gun it. We'll go over it anyway. I'm like, are you serious? Okay, whatever. He's the boss. So I hit the gas and went over that. I mean, it was a semi truck with a 38-foot trailer, and it was a low riding trailer.
Okay.
Because I've been a truck driver for 9 years. This is one of the weirdest jobs I've ever had. Um, it goes over the berm and high centers the trailer. So I'm thinking, if I remember right, it was a foot above the road. The trailer was only set about a foot above the road. So 2 or 3 feet of hard packed snow and ice. It high centered it.
Right.
So we had about 6 feet of the trailer sticking out into morning traffic on the road diagonally. And we were stuck. We couldn't go anywhere. And I turned to him. I said, now what? He said, well, I guess we grab the shovel and we start digging. I said, are you serious? We don't have anybody in this company we can call that will send a tow truck or somebody with a chain. Come on, just pull us out. And he said, no, we're on our own. And I'm sitting there like scratching my head, like, really? Nobody. We can't call anybody outside the company. So that's not how it works. So we got out of the truck, and again, in my thin jacket, tennis shoes, we had a shovel. We had a square shovel about this big to share between us. One shovel, no ice melt, no chains, no rope, nothing. That was it. And I tell you, I've never felt such a feeling of dread and discouragement in my entire life.
Mm.
I thought this is going to be a long day. We got a fully loaded down heavy trailer. We got 23 bars to hit, and it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Sun hadn't come up yet because up here up north, it doesn't come up till later in the winter. So I was thinking, man, this is gonna be a long day, really long day. So we start digging, and I had a feeling of frustration come over me and thinking, I want to walk off the job, but I don't want to do that. That would be horrible to do to this guy because he's been good to me. And so I thought, I know the world ain't going to help me. I'll call out to the Lord. And all I just said was, God help me with this. That's all I said. And I kid you not, LA, within 10 or 20 seconds, not minutes, seconds, three big guys showed up with brand new snow shovels. I'm like, I had to turn away, and my jaw dropped because I remember what I just prayed 10 or 20 seconds ago. I started digging, and I'm like, where'd these guys come from? And they showed up. They said, hey, you guys need some help? And I mean, these shovels were huge. They were shiny silver, brand new. These guys were big. And first guy, the guy in the middle, he looked like, I don't know, he's probably 40 maybe. And he was about 6'1", 6'2", maybe 250. Good sized guy for the job. The other two guys looked like they were about, a couple years younger than me, maybe 22. Another guy was maybe 19 or 20. They were smaller, but they were all fit and willing to do the job. And I'm thinking, what are the odds that these three guys have free time at 22 below zero before sunrise to help total strangers? I'll tell you something. If it's 22 below zero, and I have to be outside, it's going to be for an emergency. I'm not going to have free time probably to go help anybody else. Not that I wouldn't want to, but most people don't just go out at that time of day, at that cold, looking for somebody else to help. So what could have been a 3 or 4 hour job, they dug us out in 10 minutes. I was blown away. I mean, they got on their stomachs and was reaching under the semi trailer with their shovels and digging out snow. And they circled it. Of course, we all worked together. My boss and I shared our shovel. They had their 3 shovels. And then my boss says, go ahead and get in the truck and see if you can move her out. I said, really? This soon? So I got in there and put it in gear and just slowly eased right out. And that truck just pulled right out of there like butter. 10 minutes. I got out because I was in disbelief. I go around looking around the trailer and how they had moved so much snow in such a short amount of time. And not one car on that busy morning traffic road had hit us and never come close. We had more than half the lane taken up with the back end of the trailer. It was a diagonal. We couldn't move it in the parking lot any further. The trailer was high centered, probably a foot or two off the ground. And I circled around that trailer to inspect what they had done. He says, this is it. We can get back in and get to work. And okay, here's my favorite part. I walk around to the front of the truck to go thank the guys. And as you can imagine, they're nowhere to be seen. I could see probably half a mile either direction. Where did they go? And I've heard a lot of your stories and your interviews with other folks, and they all seem to, that's what all, I mean, I can't say for sure if they were angels. They could have maybe walked in a building somewhere I didn't see, but they wouldn't have had time in 20 seconds, I don't think, to vanish. All these stories have one thing in common. You go to thank them and they're gone. I mean, I looked out, I was like, thank you, God. He answered. And you know, the moral of the story is, I think you don't have to pray some fancy schmancy prayer. It's all just, God help me, and he'll show up. He will help you in the most dire situations. A 4-hour job turned into a 10-minute job. And our day carried on and went smooth as can be, and I was in disbelief.
One of the things I really like about the story is there's nowhere to go. I mean, you can see a half a mile, there's no buildings around, and they have 20 seconds. And it's like, and we've heard this over and over again. They show up,
Yeah.
they save you, and then you look around and it's like, where did they go? I just love it. And Paul tells us once again, some of us have entertained angels unaware. Brian, thanks so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. God bless you, sir.
Really happy to share it. I knew I would share it one day. I just didn't know with who, but your show is pretty new, and I probably would have, I don't know, I may have been too shy to come on sooner, but I'm glad I did. Really glad.
What a great story. Just so you can see my face. What a cool story. It's just like 3 guys with brand new shovels. Oh, nothing odd about that at all, right?
No, right? I mean, God help me. 10 seconds later, he needs some help. And then you go to thank him and they're gone.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the record. Appreciate it.
It was great. Great to talk to you.
So I know some of you out there, oh, well, that's just preposterous. Oh, angels with show shovels. That's just ridiculous. That's because you have an anti-supernatural worldview. And you kind of go, well, talking donkeys, really? Floating axe heads, talking donkeys. What's that? What is that? Waters that stand up as a heap when 3 million people walk through, and men that walk on water that's changed to wine, men that are raised from the dead. I mean, I could just go on. We have a supernatural God. We live in a supernatural world, and sometimes it does interface with us. And I believe that happened with this story. It's just so cool. 3 angels show up with brand new snow shovels, and they dig the truck out in less than 10 minutes? How is that possible? And then when if a driver goes to the front, and there's no way these guys can hide anywhere, and they're gone. How many times have we heard that? How many times we have heard that? I just love stories like this. If you have a story, please email us at supernatural@lamarzulli.net, supernatural@lamarzulli.net. And our line producer, John Adam Hicks, will set up a Zoom conversation with yours truly, and we will get you on the record. Whether they're good supernatural encounters or the not so good ones, give us an email and we'll get you right on here. We also have the best of Supernatural Confrontations 2022 in the works. That'll be a DVD, probably about an hour and a half, with probably the top 5 viewed on YouTube. We'll make it into a DVD and we'll be offering that. It's just a great way of like, hey, invite some people over and plug in the DVD and wow, I had no idea this stuff was going on. Yeah, most of the church doesn't, unfortunately. That's why we have this platform and that's why we do it. Anyway, folks, we'll see you back tomorrow. I've got a very special On the Trail of a Nephilim report. There's a gentleman who emailed me over the weekend, and it was sort of a nasty email. Oh, Marzulli, why is he doing this stuff? Well, we're going to keep him anonymous, so we don't want to embarrass him. But I will address all of these points as to why we do what we do on the On the Trail of a Nephilim series, and why we're so interested in the UFO phenomena. And you'll get into that. I hope that whets your appetite. Remember, there is a supernatural world that surrounds us, and sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. Thanks so much for watching. Something very dark and disturbing is happening. It is a global phenomenon that knows no boundaries. It adheres to no cultural mores. And the ones who are engaged in this nefarious activity do so with impunity. People are being taken against their will. In the cover of darkness, in the dead of night, they are subjected to bizarre examinations that are often sexual in nature. These people are terrified, violated, confused, and with no place to turn to, as who would believe them? This is their story.